Who do you bank with?
B of A.
B of A. Have you ever had a return check?
Yes.
And do you pay your bills on time?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
Oh, ask him about the bank fee.
Well, the bank fees. Oh, yeah. Late fees for late payments? How do you feel about those? Like your credit card payment?
You know, last year the federal government took over the banks, 2009, as a bailout. I was wondering why the federal government gave the banks back, in other words. Because they just like a foreclosure, the banks were in foreclosure, so the government bailed them out. You're asking me about bank fees.
Yeah,
Now,
bank
this
fees.
economy is basically is a cripple crab with the crutch. For instance, if the government wouldn't have gave the banks the money back, that's $47 billion in overdraft fees. That's how much overdraft fees are. That could have stimulated our economy, that could have paid down our debt, and that's hurting the American people because the economy and jobs, like the housing market, they can't pay, so they write checks to try to cover them, and the bank fees come up, the bank closes your account, now you can't get a bank account. The fees should be waived.
Oh, I see. Does your bank waive your fees usually?
You have to argue and have a good argument.
Okay, you got to
If
come
your
up with a good
argument-
excuse.
If your argument isn't good enough,
They won't.
they will not waive your fee.
But for you, as a long-term customer, they waive
doesn't
it?
really matter anymore whether you're short-term or long-term.
Oh, I see.
The banks will then send you a basic notice. You have to pay this $30 the
Oh,
first time,
okay.
$30 the second time. And if you don't pay it, they'll send it to a collection agency.
Oh, so
that
you
way
have
your
to. Oh.
bank account gets closed. It's on your credit report.
So you better
You no
pay.
longer can pay.
Oh, I see.
You no longer can get a bank account
Oh,
because
okay.
you're in the red.
Okay. How do you feel about the credit card, the late fees?
Same thing with the credit card late fees. Small businesses survive off of their credit cards.
Right.
So basically with the economy down, they use their credit cards. They try to get the consumer to come in and buy the product or the commodity, or they can cover that credit card on a monthly basis.
Okay.
I've seen many small businesses go out of business because their creditors will no longer give them credit because of the payments are not made on time with the banks.
Okay.
The banks also control credit cards,
I see.
you know, and so what people are doing is they're getting double charged. In other words, since they no longer can use their credit cards, they have bad credits, they take the money that they have and they send it in and get a credit card, or they go to a check cashing booth down the street, for instance, where they charge them tremendous amount of fees to cash their checks
Okay.
and just to stay in business. So the credit card fees, the American government with the financial institute, with the Federal Reserve banks, must renegotiate the contract, must turn back the clock, must forgive the debts, must allow Americans to have opportunities and start over fresh.
Okay. So wipe all the old debts. So go ahead.
So how do you feel about the economy right now?
Well, the economy is a mess. I mean, you hear about jobs being lost.
Right.
You hear about homelessness in the street in this winter and it's cold outside.
Yeah.
You hear about families being divorced.
Right.
You hear about college students, for instance, because of the bad economy with housing under the Jarvis-Gann Act, Proposition 13, property taxes go towards education programs.
Okay.
You hear Governor Schwarzenegger say cut education, because that is not being collected from the homeowners for foreclosures.
Oh, yeah.
So the whole thing about the students need to get a grip on what the problem is and get together and help fight with the banks to stop foreclosing on these houses where the people that live in them don't have to become homeless.
Okay.
And they can get an opportunity to pay their taxes. America must forgive the debts.
Okay.
Okay. So how do you feel about racism?
Racism has never left America.
Cool.
Racism has been here all, well, let's talk about small businesses. Minorities can't even get loans,
Oh.
basically. So what happens in the economy situation? They now feel the red tape. They now feel the red pressure. because now they can't get, other Americans can't get loans. And they're going, wow, you're discriminating against me. Now they know that that's what the American government has been doing, was redlining, red streaming minorities or small businesses for home loans. But they did this much for them. They allowed them to cook their books. They allowed them to lie on their applications for homes. They allowed them to go into their mortgages. They allowed them to basically take out their interest in their properties, and that was okay. And now the banks are taking back their properties. So what are we talking about? Isn't that racism? Isn't that discrimination? That's taking from people that have worked all their lives and just stealing it because they suckered them. They cooked the books, and now they're ripping them off. They're robbing the hood. We need a Robin Hood out there.
Oh, I see.
How do you feel about the prison system?
Well, prisons were set up for poor communities. The greatest investment in America is prison stock. If you want to get rich, buy you some prison stock.
Oh, I didn't know they
paying
had stock.
off.
I didn't know there
They're
was.
privatizing the prisons.
Oh, they
They're
privatized.
privatizing the prisons.
Oh, I didn't know that.
See, that's why they're sending them back from California. They're sending them back to the South.
Okay.
Because they're privatizing all their mills, they're privatizing all their contracts. And this is what's happening. Without an education, you're illiterate.
Oh,
America used welfare, for instance,
yeah,
years ago.
yeah.
Babies having babies, paying people to have babies, saying you don't need an education, this is America. Those babies now are grown and their children are grown without an education.
Oh my God.
That's the problem you're seeing today.
And they go steal and go to jail.
They go lie, cheat, and steal, and guess where they end up?
In jail.
And guess who gets the money? The taxpayers. Pay for the prisons, and the investors make the money. Whenever you have poor communities, you have heroin, you have drugs, you have
As a way to make money.
as a way to try to stimulate your own economy. Eventually, you get sick, or you die,
Or you get
go
caught.
to jail.
Or you get caught.
And then you still have to have the taxpayers pay for you to stay in jail, get medical coverage.
Oh.
The taxpayers pay for that. So the whole system of prisons is a serious monopoly that has been going on since slavery. They did not give up slavery. America did not give up slavery.
That's the other guy
They
said that.
enslaved people by not giving them an education and knowing they would go back to the plantation
And then they put them to work in the jail
for free.
for free. So that's what the other guy said.
Yep, exactly. Have you ever been in jail?
I've been fortunate enough to have enough sense
To stay out
not
of
to
it.
go to jail.
Okay.
Because
You avoid the.
we don't want to lose our freedom. Our freedom,
It's very important.
it means so much to me, my family, and to my friends. I'm a community person that needs to be
Free.
educating people on these issues so they don't have to go to be incarcerated to learn. They let them out of prison anyway.
Yeah.
Remember the 3 strikes you're out, the guy
Yeah.
goes to jail for a pizza?
Yeah.
I mean, give me a break.
Yeah,
What
you
about
don't put.
3 strikes and you go to college?
Oh, yeah.
People don't like the military. What about 3 strikes and you go to the military?
Oh,
I
okay.
think that's a better deal than going to jail.
Forever.
I think they need to reinactivate the draft.
And
You might
educate-
don't like that.
and
But
educate
if
people.
a person can get an education, and
It's
these
better.
kids are out of control. They need something at 18 that demands respect, that they're going to respect, and that they're going to come after them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they end up with the problem that you have just asked me.
Yeah. Open the school, close the jail.
There you go. I mean, and then you look at how silly Americans' public is. They say we want to have a school bond pass, right? We
Yeah.
need new schools,
And they don't
right?
want to invest.
But the Americans are very uneducated. They'll pass a school bond and they're shutting down schools. They don't need schools. And because the taxpayer says that we need to have schools, they have to spend the money on schools. So it's just not the government that's not fully aware of what the problems are. It's the American public
Oh, they
that
say.
are uneducated.
But they always pass money for jails. I mean, there's.
They pass money for jails and they pass money for schools, and neither one is helping anyone.
Oh, really?
Because if you're closing down schools, how many schools just closed in the last 209 in the Bay Area? How many schools just
lot.
closed in San Francisco?
A lot of schools.
And guess who gets the property? See how it works? The developers.
Oh.
So the developers come in, get the property dirt cheap, and guess what they put on them? Very nice millionaire condos.
Oh.
And guess who gets to live there? The community doesn't. So guess what happens? They complain about the community, the neighbors, and guess what? Who shows up? The enforcement.